All right. So we're going to start slowly, and I hope everybody will join us on the road. So I'm very happy to see you all of you here today. I hope first and foremost that you and your family are still well and fine with what we are living at the moment. This is definitely the most important. So thank you very much for joining us today on this webinar on communication post-COVID-19 strategy and tools. This is a practical workshop. This is a positive workshop. We're trying to see what is going to happen after and try to find solution together. So we want to keep the smile today. We want also you to really engage during this workshop. So this is a platform here for you to ask questions. So the chat is open to everybody. Please raise your hand, ask your question, and we will take time to answer all your questions. We want also you to share your experience. And we also want you to have tools and solutions to help you after this workshop. So once again, please use the chat and ask your question. And it's my great pleasure to welcome today for this workshop Pascale Kauffman. Hello, Pascale. Thank you for being here.
Hello, Manon.
Hello. So Pascale Kauffman is the managing director of Apollo Strategists. So I will give you just a little background of Pascale. So prior to founding Apollo in 2012, Pascale gained a 12 years experience, international experience in corporate and marketing communication, market development and sales at SES Group, one of the world leading satellite operators. And after experience in the private sector, she has spent 5 years as head of communication and PR of the city of Luxembourg. So you can see here the scope of her experience, private and public. She is now running Apollo Strategies, which is an independent Luxembourgish advisory company specialized in strategic communication, public affairs, crisis communication, which is our main focus today, and media relation. And we have also with us today her colleague Lou Weiss. Hello, Lou. Hello. So after this short presentation, we will start. So I will leave the floor to Pascale. Thank you again, Pascale, for being with us today. And we'll start the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Manon. Good morning to all of you who took the time and interest to dial into this meeting this morning. We are not going to talk about crisis communication at this time in this difficult period, let's put it like that. But as Manon said, about positive communication, which does not mean we want to be over positive, but we want to give you some tools and strategies in order to be smart. As we are talking about this positive approach with regards to communication for the next weeks, where hopefully the economy of Luxembourg and Europe and the world is going to take up again for most of us. I am very well aware that not all our companies are all at the same moment in time. We are in different moments of our company's development. We are in different situations with regards to the health of our companies. And I say our companies because I am probably not that much a startup anymore with our 8 years, but not far away from it. So it's not that I'm talking from far away, I'm in the middle of it as well. And we are also in different positions with regards to our mission. So we are going to try to take all this into account today and have a broader discussion on very specific topic. So what is the objective of the meeting today? I will try to take, as I said, all into account and provide those companies which are boosted by the current situation with inspiration on how to keep the momentum and transpose good results into a strong positioning. And then at the same time, we're going also to, and that's the promise that the LHoFT made, Manon, together with me and Lou, is also to help those companies who have to tighten belts, and it's nearly half of us, to really probably reinvent themselves and to get inspiration to remain trustworthy for the partners which are around, and this includes also potential investors, and so on. So, what can you expect from this? What do we expect today from the society that we see? We have two main streams. We have on one side an attitude in the society which is very supportive, and this attitude will remain for many, as many realize that their real values were hijacked over the last years in a very spinny society. But on the other side, and I realize also that as we sit here in front of this screen, we are not all sitting in Luxembourg. We are sitting in different towns where the tone is getting very harsh. And this is also something that both sides we have to take into account in our communication. So, during this meeting, I will shortly illuminate two aspects in communication which should help you to quickly be prepared or to review your communication strategy. So the first one is building strategy. In normal times, this would take you some weeks with market analysis in the front, workshops with senior management somewhere in a remote place all together, and testing with your teams internally. As we have to act fast during the next days or maybe week, I'd suggest you a fast track which you can deploy over the next days. But first of all, and this is something that I know is very important for LHoFT and Manon also, is let's take a look at why communication is important to you. So let me see, I have a bigger screen here so I can better see my slides as on a small screen. First of all, everyone is a publisher. You know that you perfectly know that the explosion of digital communication channels and the consequent democratization of the information has dramatically changed the way companies interact with their stakeholders. You know, 140 characters of Twitter can change the state of your business. So one of the oldest rules of communication is that if you don't tell your story, somebody else will instead. And that's definitely not what you want. And communication is essential. And if you ignore it, you do so at your own risk. Fundamentally, effective communication depends mainly on preparation and consistency. So for the 2 past weeks, companies have been focusing on themselves, or even for the last, let's say, months, companies have been focusing on themselves, putting in place family leave, submitting their support requests, and more. While maintaining and expressing the deep empathy we have for our loved ones, customers, partners, it is now time to really look ahead and make good use of this communication, of this time of containment, which is loosening up during the next days and next weeks, and prepare ourselves for recovery. Of course, what you don't want to do is be seen as profiting from a crisis or using it as a way to boost your sales. Companies need to ensure that their tone fits the current climate without being flippant or disrespectful. Yet the main objective for companies and for you and me and us must remain resilience. the ability to survive and energize the business through these unpredictable, changing, and potentially adverse events. So business and organization must take advantage of the time and inertia and communicate actively. So by continuous communication, you show your resilience and you demonstrate your ability by engaging with stakeholders. The stakeholders, we are coming back to who these stakeholders can be. So to engage with them and to maintain your credibility, and also, most of all, strengthen relationships with partners, suppliers, your employees, of course, I should have named them first, but also with media, and I'm coming to this later. And also by demonstrating empathy with society, and that's what we discussed already. And why are you doing this in communication? To protect your brand, your values, your reputation, to demonstrate that you have the control of the situation, that you are mature, even if you are a startup. And also, and that's for more from a compliance side, to reduce legal or societal consequences. And basically, it's all about ensuring business continuity. If you are preparing for change today, you will come out of this crisis first and best. And in order to do so, you will have to review your communication strategy, your messages, or build them if you didn't have a communication strategy. You have to change the content of your communication, and you have to look through all your communication. You even have probably to change your messages on your website, on the blogs that you use, and so on. And the communication tools, to change the communication tools which are no longer probably appropriate. So before coming to the fact on how quickly you can change or adjust your existing communication strategy, I would like to give the word to Manon, because she's going to ask you a question which we will analyze and then take a look at it further on. So I leave you the stage, Manon.
Yes, so just a quick poll. So it will take just 20 seconds. So the question is basically, have you been communicating during this crisis? So yes, no, or maybe even I don't know. So I will open the poll, and we'll leave you 20 seconds to answer.
Just wonder whether I can participate as well. Maybe Lou, you want to participate.
Let me see, I don't know.
I will participate. So you just take off one. I can't. The host can't participate, Manon. Okay.
Yeah, as moderator, I guess we can't. Okay, so I will close the poll now. All right, I close the poll, and I will share the result with you. Yes, and as you can see, which is actually very encouraging. 96% of you are answering yes, and 1% has answered no, and at least everybody knows if he has been communicating or not. So it's a massive yes.
Great, thank you, Manon. Well, I'm impressed. I mean, this is really, really encouraging, I must say, and that's probably why you're also in this meeting today, because this is important for you. So, okay, let's take a look at how you can adjust your strategy, because you definitely, I would say that 96% out of the 96% who said yes, they are communicating, many of you will have a communication strategy. So let's take a look at how you can adjust this communication strategy for the moment that you are full speed again, or now immediately while you are already at full speed, because I'm totally aware that half of you have the right product for this situation today. So the first, trying to, I cannot advance my presentation. Oops, sorry. Sorry for this. So how can you adjust your communication strategy? The first point is that you have to define your business. That you have to define new business objectives. So you have to look at the business objectives. I'm not talking about communication objectives here, but really your business objectives, and establish a short and mid-term timing to reach these objectives. If your objectives has been set to be reached in 2 years, for example, you need to have more short-term objectives. For example, for the end of the year, set one objective for end of year and set one objective for maybe 1 year from here, Q2 2021, for example. And once you did this, take a look on something which is like above the horizon and below the horizon. So define all the enablers, and on the other side, below, all the hurdles which will be there, all the enablers which will provide you with the opportunity to reach the objectives. And then take a look at all the hurdles which you have to take and all the construction sites which will arise and which will hinder you from meeting the objectives very fast. So that's the first point. So taking really a look at your business objectives. And then the second stage will be that with your business objective in mind, to build your new communication strategy around. And around what? Around the vision, the mission, the communication objectives, and the value. I'm going a little bit more in detail to this. The vision is what your aspiration for the future is. What is the impact? What is the imprint that you want to leave in the future? The mission is, why do we do what we do? This is your statement about your core business. Why do we exist in the present? And then the communication objectives are, how are we perceived? What is the territory on which I can stand on and which I can claim for myself, and ideally only for myself? And then the values are those which you use to realize your dream, the impact we want to leave, and the things that we are standing for, and the things we are standing for so much that if they are not there, we absolutely cannot do our business. So this is the minimum requirement which has to be there so that your company and yourself are feeling well, the values according to which you live. So you might not have time to go very deep into this, as you have to act quickly. This is mainly true for your values, because you have normally also to agree internally on your values. So you might ask yourself, how did my values change? You know your values, take a look at how your values changed during this period and name them. And then you build your story on your communication, what you want to do around this. Ask yourself whether the message you get out, the story you tell, responds to these elements. First, is it contributing to the impact I want to leave? Everything you do in communication, ask yourself, is it really contributing to leave an impact? So it's according to your vision. And then, is it sound with my business? As this will show whether your targets will, or your stakeholders will believe in you. Are you authentic? And then, so this is according to your mission. And then third, is this how I want to be perceived? And are the communication actions we do authentic? Are we behaving according to what we stand for our values? So this is this mission, vision, objectives, and values you have to set in order to meet your business objectives. And then a third point is to continuously analyze and increase your company knowledge. You have to keep track of the activity of your competitors, what they say, how they say it, what they do as activities, and how they are perceived. This is a little bit more difficult. You might need some help there from some tools in social media, but this is utmost important. You have to keep track on what the competitors do. And then you have to ideally also monitor sectors which are completely different from yours. So because they have like initiatives which you might be inspired from. And then take a look also at other markets. According to general belief, the coronavirus came from the east, but now the sun is rising again in the east, and we can take a look also at Asia, Australia, and the Middle East, probably also Italy, to see what they are doing now, because they have a longer experience with the period in which the troubled period in which we live, and then they also have already initiatives going on. Take a look at what Asia does. I think they really are doing quite well in certain business, mainly in the fintech business also, and in e-commerce. So, and then you have to move on to what makes you different from all others. You have to differentiate. How are we different from our competitors? What is the place that we can occupy that belongs to us alone? And finally, you have to wrap up your findings, everything which we talked about just now. You have to word it and put it into a positioning. Now, a positioning is something that you know it, you will use it internally, you will use it in your action. It is not something that you will write on your website. So this is about strategy. It was very fast, but now let's take a look at the communication tools. Once you set up a quick strategy, you may look at the appropriate tools you need to use. I hereby look at the most important tools, which at the same time are not budget heavy, even if they ask some time investment from your teams. So let's take a look at the stakeholders you have to address. And I would really like to ask yourself to push now, if you think about the stakeholders you have to communicate to, could you please now just send into the chat of our meeting the targets, the stakeholders that you believe you have to talk to. If you can do that probably now, Manon.
Yes, yes, of course. I mean, the chat is open, so you can just put your insight in the chat. So David is telling us investors. Siddharth tells us that the main focus is to be fund clients and staff. Sandrine is telling us so potential clients, and Florence, clients and business partners, but also employees. So employee and staff important. Charlotte is telling us B2B decision makers, generally speaking. Darren is telling us those seeking new jobs, candidates, and those hiring managers in company looking for new staff, clients. Pascale, I can't hear you.
Sorry,
can't hear you.
My
yes.
mic. Thank you, Manon.
No problem. Thank you for sharing insights.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that the point of the talents is very important as well. So if we look now at another list, maybe you can be inspired by this list. It's employees, current employees, but as you correctly said, also new talents. Your board, don't forget about your boards, the advisors which are around your clients. Yeah, clients is probably the first which come to our minds when we think about our business, because they are the most important. We think it's the most important to talk to clients, but they are just part of these stakeholders. And then other partners like providers, suppliers, consultants, your insurance company, your insurer, the bankers, the mentors. All these people are ambassadors. Think about them. And then the authorities, very important, regulators, ministries, investors, potential investors, and journalists, the media, and also your competitors. You may want also to sometimes think about your competitors when you communicate. So, and then I want you to look at a different point of communication also, which is public affairs. Just shortly going through this. There will be a big change in how we operate in public affairs, as mass social distancing is changing the way we live, work, and also do public affairs. So for those companies, with innovative companies, which have solutions and ideas, there are obvious opportunities. The decisions that being made over the next few months by governments will have significant long-term implications for Europe, for Luxembourg. And their mindset and priorities will be very different when we exit this crisis from when we went in. And the companies that can understand that ahead of time will be in the best position to survive and then thrive. You also need to be aware that how you act throughout the crisis could potentially have long-standing impacts on how you are perceived and how your future reputations, both with government and wider opinion, are perceived. So major government inquiries, and I must say, governments will make inquiries and will scrutinize everything and everyone after this. Mainly because huge investments have been made into the local economies, and they will look at how companies fit with this support and not just got it and didn't do anything about it. So that is very important. Be aware of also public affairs and how you are perceived by those who support you and invest into you. And then we're taking a look at the media. So, what is the situation of in the media today? What are the things that we read or look at the media? COVID-19, the topic is everywhere. We have to take this seriously, but it is also important that people, that your stakeholders, hear something else, hear something more dynamic, hear how you contribute to the economy. So, and this is where it is important that you reflect on how you deal with journalists. There is always a story to tell, and but you have to think about what is relevant to journalists today. how do you contribute to the Luxembourg economy through your business? This is what is important for a journalist to hear. How can the journalist position himself and the media he's working for through what you tell him, through your efforts in economy? If you look at the dailies, for example, Luxembourg Avort, Le Quotidien, Luxembourg Journal, they are talking to the broader public. And if you can position yourself as a company which is contributing to this economy, or which has problems to contribute to this economy, then they are happy to share this, because they show the dynamic part of the country. And you also think about the situation that the journalist is in. Journalists for still some time also aren't sat in the newsroom. So this means that your media pitch needs to be even more catchy than normal, because they are also people working from home with kids at home and all the things that we are also exposed to. So it is crucial to ensure that your message has the right tone and voice, and that it fits into the current situation. And that also extends to dedicated spokespeople. Having empathy for what is going on in the world will remain important. If your spokesperson isn't well versed in speaking to the press, you have to get media training for them. And if you are the spokesperson, try to be honest with yourself and see whether you need also media training. And then be also careful. There are jeers and cheers. So tech and fintech journalists specifically are receptive to stories that truly inform and illuminate underreported or less obvious ways that companies and people might be impacted with. So as more technical brands explore ways to participate in this news cycle, we should expect reporters to be more skeptical as they seek to determine whether a story is self-serving. The sensitivities mean the bar for should we pitch this is high. So many journalists are sharing, and you have to be very careful, many journalists are also sharing their PR pitching jeers, and only a few cheers on Twitter. So be really aware of this. So let's move on and see some quick tips. So be proactive. Suggest good stories to the media and build your relationship with journalists. Start tomorrow. Media are hungry to show the dynamism of the Luxembourg economy, and readers, listeners, viewers are looking forward to hear about young companies pushing for the country's relaunch. At the same time, monitor topics which are topical, which are top of the mind of media, of the economy, of the journalists. And then take a free ride if you have a relevant information. Just jump on the stage, say, hi, I'm here, I have something to contribute to this. And in case you have requests from journalists which are more facing you with unpleasant questions, just avoid the no comments. This is something that we have, like it's a burden from the 80s and the 90s where the companies were allowed to do these things. It is absolutely showing the journalist that you're hiding something. Try to put the weight on something more positive, but never say no comment. Just tell them that you are not ready to answer this question. And if you build your relationship with the journalist before anyway, he will have a very good understanding on why you cannot reply to certain things. And then if you just can't reply, you just have to tell him that in this specific moment, you can't answer the question, but never say no comment. And then there is, beside the media, there is also social media, blogs, influencers. This is, of course, another way of getting your voice into the market and close to your stakeholders. But also here you have to be very careful, because stakeholders are increasingly rejecting influence if there is hyperbolic comms. So there you have also to be very careful. The impact of COVID-19 on how the communication industry operates is likely to last for the foreseeable future. I think that many are rejecting this mindless fare provided by social media influencers. And you have to be careful to be really relevant when you are pushing information through Twitter, Instagram, or whatever you're using. So I move on a little bit faster because I know that time is very valuable to you, and I spoke already for nearly 40 minutes. How do I communicate? The thing which is important is that you set up weekly dialogues with business partners in a broader sense. Some companies might want to set up weekly dialogues with their CEOs, fellow venture capitalists, co-investors. You have to be able to be active and in a very transparent communication and give valuable guidance through what you say. And then how do you address your message? Your message has to be a purpose-driven narrative. Now is really the time to revisit your story and your messaging. You have to infuse both with values that your stakeholders can relate to, that they feel concerned about. It's not enough to market your product and its functionality. That's really not enough anymore. Communication will help you to win by focusing on why it matters. And then you should be coherent. You take time to understand and define the values according to which you work in your company. You manage to live these values to build a corporate culture. Your messages to all your audiences, internal and externally, must be consistent with these values and your corporate culture. You must remain authentic and truthful. So that's for me really the main message. And then differentiate through the tone. Show empathy, but be careful and respectful. Don't overdo it, because then again you will all your efforts will be lost. So we come now closely to conclusion. I will just leave this slide very fastly. I think that what in my eyes is very important is to really monitor what you are doing every day and then review it later. Leave it and review it later in a month's time and distill the lessons out of it, because opportunities give you the chance. This is an opportunity for improvement. And then here are some very shortly, some tips I'd like to give you. So just rapidly, re-evaluate your plans. The communication plan you had like 2 months ago or even last month is now defunct. You have to relook at your plans now and get a new one in place and keep refining it as often as you can. You can't just cast it in stone. You really have to review it every day and challenge it with people which are around you. Be human. Your overall positioning and tone of voice should be one of safety, empathy, all delivered in a human way. And then you have to showcase strong leadership. So many people in our society lost the north or are just unfortunately also depressed because of confinement. You need to show this now more than ever. So ensure clarity, empathy, and strength. via communication. And then as in crisis, but we're not talking about crisis now, preparation is key. I said it at the beginning, ensure that you have statements prepared for all possible scenarios you can think of. And look at your boilerplate, look at all the small messages that you have to get right, your figures and so on. Everything has to be prepared. It leaves you more time to think about how you say things if you have the content prepared. And keep communicating regularly. Don't go quiet. Even if your business has been impacted, keep talking to the stakeholders that we listed before. So, Manon, I think this is probably the moment where we can just go to send the paper that we prepared to to all the participants. So, is that okay to send it now, Manon?
Yes, I'll send it by email just after the webinar. If we can, or I can share my screen if you want, as you wish.
Yeah, I will have it here also.
Yes.
Okay. So this is for us very important. For if I say us, I hopefully it's LHoFT, Manon, me, Lou. This is very important for us. So this is a call for action. I would like to ask you to take a look at the formula, which is the document that Manon is going to send you, and take a pen and fill it in. Today, over the next 2 days, but no later than Monday, you should be ready with this. And it is possible, even if in normal times you would take like weeks to prepare this. Take a look at it. 96% of you were communicating, so you must have a strategy. Take a look at all this. List all communication actions that you made in Q1, so before the famous 14th of March. Then list all communication activities, actions that you undertook the moment confinement was on. And then compare what you did before and what you did during the crisis or during the confinement, or what you're doing today. Look at what worked before and what worked during the crisis, what will work in the future, and what won't. Drop everything which is obsolete. Drop it immediately. And then take a look at your business objectives. As we said before, my business objectives on end of year, end of next year, or mid-year. What enables us to reach them? What prevents us to reach these business objectives? Take a look at, write down what you're positioning today or just before the crisis, or the crisis, because it is a crisis, started, and will it stand up to the challenges of tomorrow, what we call also in this meeting the post-COVID? How do you need to be perceived after the worst is over? And then take a look again at the list of all your stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? How do you want to communicate with them? Don't forget any of them. And what is the story you can tell today? What is the story you tell today? What is the story you're going to tell in December? What is the story you're going to tell next year? And review it all the time. But put it next to you, put it as an outcome of your positioning. And then please challenge your ideas with fellow startups. Challenge your ideas with bigger companies, established companies. Challenge your ideas with Manon, with Nazir, with us, if you want. And now, as we looked at this, Manon, I would like to ask the question again, or a little bit more different. May I leave this to you?
Yes. So I'm launching, just to close this session. So the last question of our poll. I'm opening the votes now. We leave you as well 20 seconds to answer.
The other question is, do you plan to review your communication plan and strategy according to what we heard today?
Few more seconds. All right, so I'm going to now close the poll. And I will share the results. Okay, so interesting to see that 88% of you have answered yes, which I think is good. And once again, like Pascale said, based on this little document that we'll send afterwards, we're also here to help you afterwards. And 12%, so 2% replied, I don't know. Well, we hope once again that this session will help you to figure it out, and the document that we'll send as well.
Okay, thank you, Manon. Well, this is maybe also because 10% already reviewed their strategy, or they have a strategy which is just future-proof. Which
that might be, hopefully, for sure.
Okay. Manon and we discussed also the fact that maybe you will have many questions following this, and so we are open to take questions now, and also questions via email or phone if you should have to reflect on things, or
yes,
maybe that questions are coming later.
Exactly. So we are just in the timing. So I know we promised, because we want also that the webinars don't take too much of your time. So we are now at the end. We can take 1 or 2 questions if you have so. And like Pascale mentioned it, we will send this document, share all the contacts, and you can of course reach at us afterwards. So any question that you would ask now? We'll take 1 or 2. Okay, so I think well, I think no question so far. So first, I will thanks Pascale and Lou for their time and their positivity once again in all this. We hope that you had a good session, that you learned some stuff, or at least make you think. And once again, we are here for you afterwards to help you, always with the smile and the positivity. So we wanted to conclude with a special feature. I think Pascale has also very cool glasses. So you know I love Luxembourg glasses, and you see the glasses of Pascale with flowers. So we need that at the moment. So thank you very much, Pascale, for your time. Thank you all for joining, and we'll see you soon for another webinar with my colleague Anthony. Next one is next Wednesday at 12 o'clock.
Thank you.
And thank you all.
Stay positive.
Stay safe, stay positive. Have a great day. Bye.